Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. It's been a few weeks and I've missed you all, but I just completed my cross-country move from Los Angeles to Atlanta, Georgia. So please excuse the kind of basic setup I've got going on right now. I'm hopefully going to be personalizing it a bit more over the next couple of weeks. But I'm really excited to introduce this new guest to you. He just released his debut album under Earth Libraries Records. He recorded it with a previous On That Note guest, Kevin Basko of Rubber Band Gun. He's a member of Jungle Green, and he's even played some shows with Spencer Tweedy. So please welcome my newest guest, Essential Forever. I'm sitting here with Al Heaney, aka Essential Forever. Congratulations on your debut album. There's still a lot to say about Essential Forever. You worked with Kevin Basko, also known as Rubber Band Gun, who we had on the show here a couple months ago. He's awesome, and I was just pumped to hear that y'all were working on it together. Hollywood Royalty is one of my favorite songs I've heard in a long time. You really nailed that wall of sound vibe, and I'm just excited to talk to you about your writing and recording process for this album. How was it?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. It's a beautiful day on that note. It's I appreciate the kind words as well. It was well, for that song, yeah, it was just we went for that wall of sound. I think I think a lot of what Kevin does super well is he's just about capturing that in studio energy and working with tape, and we were trying to do something that felt that captured that production sound in a way, but in the sense that get the crew together at the historic New Jersey, some of his friends, people that I knew through for a long time since they were running with Kevin in Rubber Band Gun, his band. I did a tour with those guys with Jungle Green a long time ago, and so we had all those people come in and did kind of like a big wrecking crew and did live takes of stuff and tried to hit that sound and yeah, it kind of came out with the sound of the room in a cool way.
Yeah, you really you packed a big punch in just 8 songs in less than 25 minutes. It's awesome. Was there anything you learned working with Kevin, doing everything to tape, that maybe you hadn't experienced before?
Yeah. I mean, every new experience is a learning experience with specifically with with the tape stuff. It's always different, it's but that's the beauty of it. But it's I think I had one big kind of like record to tape experience before with Jungle Green, and that kind of it opened my eyes to being just really driven by the energy of doing something really permanent in like a short amount of time, and the necessity to kind of trust where the room is at and what people are feeling. And it was me and Kevin too a lot of the time, just tracking the two of us, or with Rias Reed, who's an amazing producer as well. He helped a lot in the studio. And so I think for this one, it was just about, again, you kind of learn, you got to relearn a little bit, like, how to make something shine together in the moment, because you just, we recorded it. I only had like, I think it was 8 or 9 days, or maybe 8 to 10 days at his place to record this song. So it was like a song a day kind of a thing.
Wow.
And so it was just like figuring it out step by step, and it definitely deepened my love for the whole analog recording and recording with friends and live takes type of thing. So
it seems like such a exciting process recording to tape, because you get those little accidents, those happy accidents that you didn't quite expect to be there in the first place, where as if you're going, straight into a DAW, it can be easy to just like focus on, oh, that little sound bite is not quite on point, and then you kind of just get distracted by the fact that everything's not perfect. But when you do that, things don't exactly feel human anymore, and that your album feels human. Like, it feels like it was recorded all in the same space, and you just create this wall of sound, and I heard that you kind of take on a character of Essential Forever, and I'm wondering, did that come immediately to you once you started recording under the name Essential Forever? Or does that have any tie to the fact that you went to film school and are really into just the art of filmmaking?
yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, it all started kind of like, and this ties into a bit with what you were saying, like the way that I used to make music on my own was a lot more kind of just like poring over digital stuff and doing like take after take on my own in my room. For many years, it was just all about recording digitally, which is absolutely fine. But I think for me, what really made this like kind of the analog process interesting was because of that. Because like when I'm on my own, I have a tendency to really, really overwork stuff, to the point where I kind of want to like offset that at this point and try and like take songs that I've written to a place where it's spontaneous to recreate them. But that was all, that I was making music under a few different names for a couple of years, just kind of like releasing them into the night onto Bandcamp, and kind of showing them to friends, stuff that I had tinkered with a lot on my on Logic, on my own. And then I would like change my name every release and kind of like, try and do like a different sound each time. And it was kind of like just trying to figure out, what it was about for me, which took a bit longer, just to I guess just locate, what was the perspective that I wanted to really focus on. And eventually I just landed on Essential Forever. I released an EP that was like a disco EP. It was like, I was trying to do like a disco kind of like Sly and the Family Stone album. And I released it under Essential Forever just because I thought that sounds like high octane, I guess. It was like, it just kind of made me laugh. But it also tied in with this idea, like I'm always more and more I try to like just include whatever influences I have into the same collection, and instead of kind of working with the trying to mold it all into one, I just felt like it would be fun to experiment with this idea of a character where I could kind of make albums that sounded like a collection of singles that spanned like a whole career in a sense. Like I could go to different eras, and different genres, sounds of certain time periods. And then that just evolved into like kind of using this idea of a character. It's kind of a thinly veiled character because I don't want it to come off like I'm just doing like it's all a big joke or something. But it is like, I think there's something interesting from my perspective writing from like this like old like idea of like a crooner who like was always trying to like be relevant or to do or had like this kind of sort of hits that you like, were hits, but no one listens to now or something like. And that was inspired by like a lot of just like enjoying crate digging and like dollar bin, finds that I found when I moved to Chicago. I started looking through those type of things. So like, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is kind of like a movie as well, like you said. I mean, yeah, I did go to film school for screenwriting. I realize I'm just saying a lot of things right now, but yeah, that I think that is appealing too. Just the idea of like I like the idea of like an unreliable narrator, or like trying to say something through a flawed character, or just kind of playing up trying to say something with the tragic comedy of it in a way. So yeah, lots of stuff I just said.
Hey, first of all, we're on a podcast, so you can say all the stuff you want. Take as much time. Say.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So long form.
This is the talking center of media.
Exactly.
The podcast format.
People want to hear you talk. And it makes sense because I was reading your interview with Basement Magazine, and you said, I see a lot of what I write as being in a movie. And after reading that quote and listening to the album again, it really does have a visual experience to it, even down to the album cover, which feels so old school. Like, it feels so reminiscent of that crate digging era. And that's just really cool that you take on a character, and, I see what you mean by thinly veiled, because these characters, they are versions of ourselves. They're not just there's not a clear cut difference between you and Essential Forever, because it is part of who you are. And I would bet that maybe gets you into a different way of thinking that allows you to maybe get out of your head a little bit. I think people talk about when they go on stage, they like, Ziggy Stardust and David Bowie. It just transports you into a new state of thinking that maybe gets you out of your head a little bit, and gets you maybe less self-conscious about yourself. I know that's how I would feel if I was doing something like that. And you mentioned that you moved to Chicago. Is that where you got your start with Jungle Green?
Yeah, that is. I moved here. I'm still living here now. I moved here in 2014. I went to music school at Columbia College, Chicago, and then I met Andrew Smith, who you've spoken to, of Jungle Green, in an acting elective that I just like.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny like chance meeting where we both were. He was in the radio department, and we both just like took an acting elective. I think because we like we kind of like acting, both of us. I guess we tried our hands at like comedy together. Like I guess we did. He was doing some stand up stuff like early in Chicago, and I tried doing some open mics too. And we were we met through that, and then I started playing guitar for him in like a 2-piece of Jungle Green in early days, which was like kind of we would do kind of like he usually says it was more like performance art than anything, because it was like songs mixed with like poor stand-up routines. So we went on that. We were on that level for a few years or so. Then I left school because I couldn't do music school. I just couldn't I couldn't get the discipline down to do it. And I was like, I don't think it didn't feel right to me. So I left for a year. I just worked here in Chicago at a pizza restaurant for about a year, and then I went back to school for screenwriting after that. And that was when at the same time we started meeting more people. Andrew started, I believe he met Adam Miller through the radio department, who's in Gold Star. And through that, it evolved into Viv McCall and Adam Obermeyer as well. And also my partner Emma joined too. Originally she was doing just stage dancing. So that morphed through the years, and now here we are. So it all started here in Chicago. That's right. Born and bred.
Born and bred. How was the difference with working in such a big collective? I mean, how many? There's probably 7 people ish in Jungle Green.
Yeah. The core is 6 people.
6.
And it's great. I mean, it started off, it was like just 6 friends making music together, and it's great. It's great for what it is. Jungle Green is a beautiful thing for me, because it's all about, it's a similar thing where it's a lot about spontaneity and trying to introduce the energy of playing live to recordings, and a lot of what we've done has been kind of focus on a live act that to us feels unique, and have invest our energy into that. So that was that's been a wonderful process. You can imagine there's a lot of voices, and
right.
the process was 6 people, and I think that has brought kind of this pop maximalism approach a lot of the time to what we do, and I think it's all the better for it, So yeah, it's a interesting approach for sure, and it's always inspiring.
Was there a big difference to you between working in a group where there's 6 different voices who are all going towards a similar goal versus going to, Kevin Basko's studio, historic New Jersey, and basically, being your own mind and saying these are the 8 songs or however many songs you had, and whittled it down, and saying I mean, you are collaborating, but they are your songs and you're kind of making the ultimate decisions. Was that intimidating at all, or was that freeing, or a little bit of both?
Yeah, it was a huge change for me, and it was a little challenging. I think, but I mean, that being said, it was a breeze in the studio, because that specifically that is part of what Kevin is so good at, is just he's good at the trickery of it's the stakes, the stakes were I felt were high for me, but it's you have to go into the studio just taking that weight off your shoulders, because you're just gonna get a better song with the way that you record like that, and on analog and quickly. It's gonna be, you're gonna want to again follow the energy that's going on, instead of being kind of one track minded about certain things. Although we did shoot for a very specific sound a lot of the time that we ended up getting pretty nicely, but it was difficult for me from the perspective of just me, the songwriter, doing that, because I'd never done that for my own songs before. I worked in a studio, and I'd never really I had limited experience even playing with a band and working out songs together, let alone doing that with people again in one day and recording it. So it was a challenge, but I tried to I tried to see it as just as a inspiring thing. I think there's something that there's an inherent kind of like drive you feel in that situation to just be like, well, all I can do is just keep that positive mentality and go where the the energy takes you. And so it's kind of like you have to focus all that nervous energy into like being as not nervous as possible, which is hard. But I kind of do enjoy that, like that scenario a bit. It's a challenge, and it's a set of limitations that can seem difficult to maneuver, but it usually yields pretty great results, which is why I gotta trust it.
When I was talking with Kevin, he mentioned how giving yourself those limitations is actually a better framework for you to work in, because if you have too many options or you're not quite sure exactly what you're aiming at, then you can get lost and not really create something that is that has a purpose, or something that feels like it's driving towards something. And it sounds like going into this process, it was you had to manage kind of a duality of knowing what you want, but also being open-minded and free to allowing Kevin and whoever's in the room to maneuver it a certain way, and kind of being a little hands-off while still managing to try to retain your original inspiration in the first place. So the next question I was going to ask actually was, I was messaging back and forth with Andrew from Jungle Green for a second, and he told me to ask you the hard-hitting questions. He said you could handle it. And my initial thing was, I was going to ask you who's the sexiest member of Jungle Green, and then he was like, well, his partner Emma's in it, so it's going to be an easy question. I was like, oh, shit. But then he said...
Softball.
Definitely a softball. But he said I should ask you about your cat, Rocky.
All right, well, now we're getting into some dirt, yeah. Yeah, this is my cat, Rocky, my late, great cat, Rocky.
Oh, no, this is a sad story.
It is kind of a sad story. Most of the time, when I tell it per Andrew's request, it induces more sadness than laughter these days. But I think it's just he's just an old cat. He was an old cat. He lived for 21 years, I want to say he lived.
Damn.
He grew up with me, and he lived a great life, but he's an outdoor cat, and he got into a situation once that caused him to lose eyesight in one of his eyes. So he kind of like, he's kind of a mythic, a legendary character. For that reason, he's like kind of this one-eyed cat that I used to have. But God bless you, Rocky.
Shout out to Rocky up there.
Yeah, we're pouring one out for you right now, Rocky. And so yeah, I mean, that's, you just got that, all my secrets now.
Poor guy. That is quite the mythological attribute, though, getting one eye ripped out, I like that.
Yeah, I imagine he's up there in Elysium somewhere.
In Elysium, yeah, with his eye patch, maybe.
Of course, yeah.
Or I guess when you're up there, it's restored, so you can see, you can see again.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
We won't know.
We won't know until we're up there with him.
That's right. That's
right. Well, back on a little bit more of a musical note, I also read that you toured with Spencer Tweedy, which I just thought was really cool. So I wanted to ask how that experience was, and if you learned anything from that tour.
Yeah, well, actually that is a little bit of a stretch. I haven't toured with Spencer yet, but we've played a few shows. I think that maybe there's a miscommunication for that article, but but I have learned a lot playing with Spencer. Spencer's an awesome guy. He makes really, really great music. I met him again. He was playing with Rubber Band Gun a while ago on that tour that we did of the East Coast many years ago. Well, that's, I mean, not many to me. 4 years ago, I think. And yeah, we started playing here in Chicago. We played 2 or 3 shows together before this whole thing went down in the world pandemic. And I think that's been really cool because it's required me to it's really fun playing like a really solid part of a band, and trying to keep my chops up for that, and like really focus on it as being that aspect of a group, rather than kind of like the fun of Jungle Green is that we all switch around on instruments a lot. So it's cool taking that one role, and it's also really cool playing Spencer's songs because he's really thoughtful in the studio too with how he records his music, and comes out with a lot of really beautiful sounds and effects that I get to then try and recreate on guitar and keyboards and stuff, and that's been a joy to kind of like just flex, use that muscle too, just like working on crafting like a sound, like a specific echo or a specific sound for a guitar to play live. It's kind of fun. I don't always get to do that with any of my other projects either. So, and he's a great guy. It's great to spend time with him.
That's cool. I would think that there's a lot of fun in being limited to that one thing that you've got to do, like just play guitar or just play keyboards live, and it allows you to focus more on just one thing and get that one thing solid, as opposed to Essential Forever, where you're not only playing a lot of the instruments but writing the songs, and it's more of a larger idea that you have to focus on. Or even Jungle Green, where it seems to be kind of like you're constantly trying new things and juggling different pieces. So I bet there's a nice discipline that comes along with playing just guitar and just getting your end of the deal done there.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have all these things to work on that complete a very like rounded out
Right.
kind of creative output. It's been a wonderful time doing all those things. So yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Well, that's going to take us over to the last 5 here, where I'm just going to ask you 5 quick questions and we'll be out of here.
Sick.
All right. Number 1 is in the studio or playing live?
Oh wow, I've listened to this podcast before, and I hear this question, and I've been gearing up for it. I'm like, man,
Doing your
what
homework.
am I gonna say when he asks me this? It's tough. I still don't have a real answer for you, but I think it's they're both essential parts to I think even just writing a song, they're both essential parts to the process. I don't know. I think in the studio is like the dream. It's like where I always like want to spend my time, and it's just like if I could theoretically be doing one thing forever, it would be like I just want to be in the studio, because that like the creative energy is such a wonderful thing. But at the same time, I would say playing live is like the challenge that you must face, and it makes you a better songwriter in the end to round out that live show. And it's also, I think it's very important right now too, because live, obviously this year has brought about some terrible changes with live shows, but even before that, it's kind of like it's a fragile thing. It's not always approached with deep care these days. Like there's something to be said about how important like just playing instruments live and getting a really good live show together is right now, because it's a beautiful shared experience. So I can't give you a straight answer, but that's what I've been thinking.
That's okay. That's a very thoughtful answer either way. And it's going to be interesting to see when live shows are back in full swing, how they're appreciated and how they will have changed because of, the year off for everyone.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I'm cynically, I'm like, it's gonna be the only people with money now is just gonna be like the Coachellas of the world. And people will obviously want to like freak out and get together, and do that kind of thing. So I don't know. And then obviously like live venues are just closing left and right because of what's going on. So
Right.
I gotta try and stay optimistic though.
We have to. Absolutely.
We
Well,
must.
question number 2 is, what do you think is a perfect album front to back?
Off the top of my head, I'd have to just say that like my perfect album of the last year or so has been Songs of Love and Hate by Leonard Cohen.
Interesting. I've never really listened to Leonard Cohen. I need to give him a real listen.
You should. Absolutely should. You can start from the beginning with him. There's his first album is a really great entry point. And it's like Suzanne, that's like a classic, like one of his first hits and one of the greatest songs ever. And then Songs of Love and Hate is it's like, what is a perfect album? Because I don't listen to all the songs on that album like frequently, but I just think that it's front to back, it's just like, yeah, it's got some of the best songwriting I've ever heard. So I love that album.
Wow, cool. Well, certainly check it out. And you had that ready to go. I'm impressed.
Oh yeah, well I have listened to this podcast before. I will say it again.
I love it. Well, question number 3 is, who's your dream artist or producer to work with?
As far as legacy goes, like we're talking old, like in a place outside of time, it'd be great to work with like George Martin, or like I think it's Bob Johnston, the guy who he recorded a lot with Bob Dylan, like in Highway 61.
I just listened to that album for the first time like 2 days ago.
Oh, excellent.
It was awesome.
What'd you think?
I really enjoyed it. I was talking with Gold Star, and they were telling me like, man, don't worry, your Bob Dylan phase is coming. And I'm like, I don't know, I've tried, I really have. And they're like, don't worry, it's coming. And that was the first album that I made it all the way through and was like, all right, okay. But, we'll see. I really did enjoy it.
That's good.
It'll probably, it's a slow burn, I think.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Adam and Adam. It's coming. It's coming for you. It's like Bob Dylan, like so many other bands, like exists in like the public consciousness like already. Like if you haven't listened to Bob Dylan intently, you already like just have a pretty solid idea of what he sounds like. But he has so much music that like there's so many different things you could do to like so many new, like he's always changed it up. And so you just gotta find that one song that makes you be like, this era of Bob Dylan, ooh yeah. And then you start to like kind of you branch out a lot. I know it'll happen for you.
I think so too. Highway 61 Revisited certainly was my like dipping my toe into the waters there. So I'll give it another album a listen, hopefully soon here, or just throw that one on again. I need to make more of an effort, I guess.
Sure. Well, you know, you don't have to make, you know, I mean, you let it come to you, you know.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Let it
You're right.
come to you. I would say I would throw this at you. I got into Bob Dylan through the song "The Man in Me" from
Okay.
uh from New Morning. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've heard that one.
you know, it's like it's a song that doesn't really sound like any other Bob Dylan song, but it does kind of. It's like such an amazing song, in my opinion, that you can kind of be like, oh, I see it. So you should. I'm just saying because that's how I got into him.
Yeah.
I gotta pass that song on to you as well.
Nice. Well, maybe that'll be the entry point for me. I'll go for
Give it a
that.
shot.
Question number 4 is what's on your musical rotation right now?
Right now, hmm. I've been listening to. There's kind of like this family band from like the late '60s, kind of like similar to the Jackson Five type of a group called the Whatnots that I've been listening to.
Hmm.
Um, they make really cool soul music, and then I think gosh, let me think. I've been listening to a lot of like old classics because me and Adam Obermeyer from Gold Star have been working on like a golden oldies playlist together on Spotify.
Nice.
So we got like listening to like a lot of girl groups like the Chiffons and a lot of like Ricky Nelson, some of these like older acts that just give some of those classic songs. Some Dion. I'm always listening to Dion.
So a lot of old school.
Yeah, and Bob Dylan too. I've been listening to a song called "Love Minus Zero" a lot lately from Bringing It All Back Home. So
Bringing it all back home. There's another one I have to check out.
yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Well, right on. The last question here is since you are a film buff, I figured maybe you'd have an expert opinion on what you think your favorite movie soundtrack is.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, soundtrack. I don't know about any specific like full soundtracks that I can endorse, but I have been really into some composers like of like Italian like giallo films or like yeah, there's like a whole like kind of pseudo documentary genre. I forget the name of it. I think yeah, but there's this there's a composer named Riz Ortolani that I've been very into. He did like a soundtrack for a movie called Mondo Cane, and he did Cannibal Holocaust is the name of another movie he scored. Like Ennio Morricone, you know that kind of stuff. I've been super into like the Italian kind of like Baroque Western weird like 70s funk erotica music.
Wow, what a description.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird. It's weirdly beautiful. A lot of that stuff. So that's what I've been into. And the next album I want to do, in fact, I want to include a lot of giallo influences. So hopefully that comes to pass.
Right on. So you'll have to send me a couple films that you think I should check out by them because I can't even remember some of those that you just said, like how to pronounce those names. But
Yeah, I'll send you some composers
cool.
because
Yeah.
I haven't even watched a lot of these movies to be honest, but I do know the composers, and I'm like I just really like the soundtracks. So
Right on. Well, Al Heaney, aka Essential Forever, thanks for coming on to the show and talking with me about your debut album. There's a lot still to say about Essential Forever. It's on all streaming platforms. It came out on Earth Library, so you can even get like vinyl or CD if you like on their website. And yeah, thanks for talking with me, man. I really appreciate it. First episode in the new studio in Atlanta, so a special one. And I'm just excited to hear what you have coming out in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was quite the pleasure. And, enjoy ATL. We'll talk soon.
We will. Thank you, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. See ya. Bye. Thank you again for joining me for another episode of On That Note with Parker Whirling. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and you can even leave a comment down below to let me know who you're listening to. On that note, I'll see you guys next time.
We could rent a church and live inside